YouTube. I've just remembered to say like and subscribe, which everyone else always does in videos, and I don't do have that thing on the telly, and I've got it written on the wall, but I don't like to beg. So, Hondo. Flipping amazing paint job. Absolutely love this. I think this is in the same... It was the same era, possibly. I don't know if it's the same range as... I had a base, my pal Wayne, I wired up for him. It had like a tiger pattern on it. Which, although this isn't a tiger pattern, it's kind of... There's something similar looking about it, so the same era. Serial number starts 88, which I think... It's about 1988. Sounds about right. That's when pointy headstocks and stuff came in. This sort of thing. This one is actually a HK7600BBK. I don't know what that means. It's still got the Made in Korea sticker on the back of it. So from the top, it's got a pointy headstock. You can kind of date Hondos from whatever logo it is they've got, and I think sort of late 80s, early 90s is when it looked like this. I actually did an unboxing, what's in the box video on Friday, and this was in it. So I've kind of talked about how I had the first amazing cheap guitar that I picked up when all this buying hundreds of guitars thing started off was a Hondo from this era. It was an 88 as well. It was a Telecaster with this neck and this headstock, and a leopard skin scratch plate. So this has this bridge, which I often slag off. There was one sitting there. Yeah. The problem with this bridge is it's a copy of a West Tone bridge. I think they invented it anyway, which would be made by Gotor. Good design. It's kind of somewhere in between a Floyd Rose and a Strat bridge. But the difference being the West Tone ones were made of metal. So they're brilliant. If you got one of them, it'll go forever. And a lot of cheaper guitars from Korea in the later 80s copied that bridge, and they thought, oh, we can make it cheaper by not making it out of metal. Instead, we'll make it out of shite. So the block just turns to mush. Probably alright when it was new, but the block that sits in the back, and it's quite complex. There's quite a lot of wee sort of moving parts and stuff in it. So if you make it out of pot metal, basically the stuff that Matchbox cars are made out of, it doesn't take a lot of abuse before it just breaks, and age counts as abuse. This one though is pretty solid. I'm quite impressed with it. It does have writing on. Oh, can I read it? It does have. It had letters on it between where the strings went, so it's actually branded. It was a brand I'd never heard of. And hold on. If I'd been a bit cleverer, I wouldn't have put the back on it so I could read this. Jinah. So it's a Jinah. That sounds like it could be a bit rude. It's a Jinah bridge, and it's pretty solid. It was really badly set up. That's what it's in for. But I mean, it didn't take that much to sort it. Just really need someone to know what they were doing. But it's actually manufactured under Floyd Rose patents, which I find interesting, which I've never seen on one of these before. I've said this on Friday as well. I was always under the impression that the actual licensing thing for Floyd Rose was to do with the nut. So you see the nut here, it's got like a normal nut, and then it's got a clamp behind it, whereas a Floyd Rose, there's one, has the nut is the clamp. At the same thing. So the nut is actually just part of the clamp, which I thought was the actual Floyd Rose thing. Whereas this one, mind you, maybe it doesn't cost any money to write to get Floyd Rose put on it, and I suppose it's a selling feature. You can say, oh, it's got a Floyd Rose license. Maybe it doesn't have a Floyd Rose license. Yeah, so not really much else to say. It's a Strat. It's got a pointy headstock. I think the pointy headstock really dates it. It kind of feels funny actually looking at it. The neck is amazing. It really is fantastic. So everyone would get the quandary of a guitar like this where you go, oh, that's smashing, everyone's great on it. I wish it didn't have that headstock. I'll buy another neck for it, like with a Strat headstock on it. But when you play the neck, it's like, that was what really got me with the Telecaster. I had it the same neck as this, or very similar. Very high quality, high gloss neck. Got a scarf joint in it. But really good. So it's a Strat, even though I look at the picture, it's a Strat, look down here, it's a Strat, look here, it's funny because the head goes back the way, something about a Strat going up the way. I think see if it was this shape but it didn't angle back the way, maybe it wouldn't feel so unstratty, even though by feel I mean it feels like a Strat totally, but it just when you, every time you look at the headstock, you're kind of like, you kind of expect it to be something more like that when you look down at it, you know. So neck pickup, just using my Laney VC15, no pedals on. Position 4. Middle pickup, no one ever uses that. Position 2. Then bridge pickup, which would be more for, I would use it more for distortion. Well, let's see if I can get a sort of, reset that, stick in some sort of a cleany stratty sort of thing. Distortion. Because of looking at it and thinking of 1988, every time it goes on clean, I just want it to, I think it should have tons of chorus and effects and echo and stuff on it, because then that's what you would do with a guitar like this. Sorry, I'm in the key of B and I always play an E, so it's like The wrong notes are me playing the wrong notes. The right notes are here. I'm just not hitting them. Yeah. So this bridge, actually pretty impressed with it. It doesn't. There's no upbend in it. Looking at it, I don't think it's designed to have an upbend in it. It's actually got a rubber bit on the base of it, so that see when you bend it down and it sits back onto the body, it doesn't go clunk, which is quite nice, and it's sitting completely flat. So it's it's not a floating bridge, which is a much easier to use system. I do appreciate if you're Steve Vai, the upbends and stuff is handy, but if you're a human and you just want the guitar to stay in tune, I mean, you can actually bend it down and it comes back up again and it returns to pitch pretty well. And as far as I can tell, this guitar is 100% stock, apart from strings. That doesn't count. The tuners on it aren't great. They look, to be honest, they look awful, but they work fine. I think, again, partly to do with the fact that this is in such good condition. I have the way the springs were in the back of this, I have a feeling that this was probably bought new in 1988 or whatever it is, and whoever it was put the wrong strings on it and the bridge went funny, and basically I don't think it might have ever worked since then, because there's virtually no fret wear, there's no wear on it at all. I think what happened, this was bought by somebody who didn't really know what they were doing. The bridge went all funny, because, you know, obviously now you can look up YouTube and find out how to do these things. Probably not for a bridge like this though, just because I've done with Floyd Rose so many times. It was perfectly intonated. It does have fine adjustments, so you can clamp it, and in theory, provided it's the same temperature all the time, you never really need to tune it ever again until you put new strings on it. Maybe if you were in a total temperature controlled environment, because even in the mightiest guitar in the world has the strings, when they get hotter they go down, and when it gets cold they tighten up, or the other way around. So there's nothing you can do about that. But I mean, it's got a stunning neck on it. Really is. Well, I'm not buying any more guitars for myself, but I'll be totally honest, if one of these came my way at the right price, I would maybe have to have a look at it. No, if it was just black, it would still be a lovely Strat, yes. But the fact it's got this paint job on it, and the neck it's an uncommonly good neck. You know, I mean, it really is fantastic. It's like they spent the money on the right bit, which is kind of fits in with quite a lot of this sort of Korean stuff. Somebody at some point has realised that basically the most important bit in a guitar is the neck. Everyone else doesn't matter the same amount. If the neck is amazing, you're onto a good start. So like 50% of the money spent building this guitar is on the neck. And they've gone like, well, tuners you can upgrade later if you really wanted to, assuming these ones break. Which maybe if it had been used more, they might wear out a bit quicker. But I mean, because it's never been used, really, they just feel brand new, so there's no point. Also, it's clamped anyway, so how well the tuners hold. It's not so much the holding tune, it's just the feel of turning them. See if someone's got, like I've got a few guitars, I've got, you know, like Scholler tuners and stuff, you know, ones that cost like nearly £100, and when you turn it, it's like, whoa, feels noticeably nicer. Yeah, it does. It doesn't mean they hold tune any better, it doesn't make the guitar sound any better, they just feel nicer. But if you pay £100 for a set of tuners, they should feel nicer. Whereas these, I mean, they don't feel bad, they just, it's that kind of nondescript. And the pickups seem to be pretty good as well. I'd imagine just ceramic. But I mean, it could be a bit of a shredder. Would I really do anything to this if it was mine? I would probably put in some sort of Gilmore switch to get the outside two coils together. It's pretty easy to do, but I would probably put it on a push-pull pot to make it reversible. Also possibly do the tone mod, because this is just it's a Strat layout, so you've got a tone for the neck pickup, a tone for the middle pickup, and the bridge pickup has no tone, so it's always really bright. I suppose the argument there is if you wanted a less bright sound than the bridge pickup, then you go to the middle pickup, and plus you get a tone for that as well. As I started saying there, I forgot what I was talking about. So this would have been bought, new, what was I saying, 88. So let's say it's bought between 1988 and 1990, something like that. Somebody's maybe bought it as their first guitar or like to learn on. They've realised that they should have just bought a hardtail thing rather than getting one with a Floyd on it because they put the wrong strings on it and it's raised up and then they've never been able to get it fixed. And then by the time you get into my era of playing the guitar, so I started playing, I don't know when I started playing, maybe 96, 97, something like that. But before that I was getting into music, when I was like 14. So what would that be? I was 78. I'd have been 14 in 90. How did I do the sums? 78 plus 14 would be 92. Can't be 92. A bit later than that. So maybe 94, 95 kind of time. And I just would have looked at the pointy headstock and nothing. By the time Nirvana had come out, pointy headstock, fancy paint job. For any kid. Basically, it was like, not that I was into like the Oasis and Stone Roses and stuff like that, but they did not play pointy-headed super strats. It was like you wanted a vintagey-looking Stratty, Telly, Les Pauly, SG type thing. So this sort of thing was incredibly unfashionable for the second half of the 90s, at least. And then nowadays, maybe the pointy headstocks will come back. I don't know. There's so much hatred for this sort of thing, even stemming from me as well. It's like I remember my pals having guitars and they would like Marlin Sidewinders and stuff, and they had similar sort of specs, like a big bridge and like a very 80s paint job, and he'd kind of just be like, it's like the Beatles wouldn't play that, which is true. So it's like kind of like it's a bizarre thing. So there is a case to be said for how do you get the best quality guitar just now second hand, and then you get the most unfashionable looking one, which is kind of what I'm in with. I bought that thing back then at 97, 98 or something like that, for £100. 80 quid actually in a shop, and it's like, because that's the most unfashionable thing ever. But by that point I'd kind of grown up a little bit and decided that I quite like the idea of having something that's completely unfashionable, because all my pals were listening, or everyone in my generation was listening to Oasis and stuff, and I was like, hated that. Didn't like Nirvana, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, the most unfashionable music ever. So having the most unfashionable bass suited me really well. I'm kind of glad I didn't get this in a trade though. Because it just didn't get fixed. It's not mine, so I don't have to decide whether I'm keeping it or selling it. Kind of felt a little bit the same about that, the Fame bass as well, which was a similar sort of, it wasn't the same range, because actually, I remember the other one, the bass was a Fame, this is just a Hondo. So I don't have to decide whether I'm selling it or keeping it or trading or whatever. It's like, it's not mine. So I have to give it back. But I think this is an absolute belter. I really do. And I really don't think you're getting the colour in here. This is a really rich turquoise colour. Fantastic. Rock on.